beautiful friends. I'm here today to share another project with you for the Cut to You design team. Today I'm going to be working with the Rosebud cut file. As you can see, it's an offset circle wreath with this gorgeous large rose, and I have cut it out of some gold glitter cardstock because I wanted a little bit of shimmer for this layout. I've got my background, which is just some plain white cardstock, and I've already gone ahead and added some gesso to that. And I am going to be working with this Uniquely Creative kit from June 2020, which I believe was called Mother Nature or something along those lines. I really love the colours in this kit, and I have already done some fussy cutting, but I actually haven't created anything with it yet, so I'm going to be going ahead and using that. I haven't actually chosen my photo yet, which is unusual for me. I've got some ideas, but I kind of want to get started on the layout and then just see which photo I want to use the most. So let's hop on fast forward and see how this one comes together. Okay, I did want to keep this video as brief compared to my more recent videos. So I haven't included everything on camera. What I have done is backed that cut file using just two different pattern papers. As you can see, one of them is a yellow polka dot and the other is like a washed out green for the leaves, and I just kept it really simple. I really loved that gold toned yellow that's in the kit here. And I'm just going to add a little bit of mixed media. I'm using two of my Lindy's Stamp Gang Magicals. One is the Papa Pink and the other I think is Karen's Coral. You can probably see something flashing in front of the camera there. I had a visit from my daughter who was trying to get my attention with something. So I'm just roughly adding this mixed media on. I should probably have dried off the Papa Pink before I went in and added the Karen's Coral, because it kind of just got blended in together and you couldn't see the two shades. But I wanted this to be a nice, simple, quick layout, so I didn't worry too much about it. What I did also do, which I cut out from the recording because all you could see was the back of my head, is I went in over the top and added some splatters just by adding a little bit more pigment to the color, and added some gold Liquitex splatters as well. And now I'm moving on to my photo. So I finally chose a photo, and it's this photo of my two kids, which I took out the front of our house in October. And I've added my white mat as always, and now I'm just trimming down this cut apart sheet from the kit because I'm going to use, I don't think it's not very likely that I'm actually going to use any of these cut aparts with the sentiments that are on them, so I am going to use them as backing pieces and make use of them that way. I thought about using the red, but it was just a little bit too bold for my layout, so I don't end up using that red. But I am going to use this piece here. I thought I was going to put it hard up against the photo, or the first layer behind the photo, but I changed my mind, and now I'm going to use this it's kind of like a grey, a washed grey blue wood grain, and pop that. And my layers are just going to be off center, and I'm just trying to make sure that I have got a good blend of colors, so I don't have two oranges up against two oranges and two greens up against two greens. So I'm just trying to make sure that there's a balance. Excuse me, I'm still a little bit brain dead after having spent the last 5 weeks on a full-time teaching prac placement, which is why I've been a little bit quiet on social media and on Instagram. But I've got some creative time now. I just need to kick my brain back into creative gear properly so that I can record, or record, and then film and record voiceovers that make sense and don't involve me rambling like I am now. So I have added those layers as you've seen, and I am using my distressing tool to rough up the edges of each of those layers. It's quite simple. It's not particularly heavy. It's really just keeping the focus on the photo. So I toyed with the idea of using a doily. I wanted to have some really soft layers, but a doily doesn't end up making it onto the page in the end. So you can see I had gutted that yellow polka dot and I'm using that to matte my white background, and of course I've taken that over to my sewing machine and added a stitched border around the edge. Now I'm ready to adhere my cut file down, and I'm just using some of my favourite Art Institute glitter glue to adhere this down. And I stuck the flower down first and then I came back in for the circle pieces because I just knew that I wasn't going to be able to get the whole thing down in one go without ending up with a mess of glue all over my page. So now I'm just trying to work out where I want my photo to go. I did think that it would be nice to have it, those leaves layered over the top, but that's not what I went with in the end. And once again, I brought in this yellow doily, which was also in the kit, and I thought I might make that work, but that doesn't happen either. So I've just gone for my trusty white tissue paper, and I'm just going to add a couple of layers of tissue paper behind my photo and then trim that out. And you know, I probably should have cut this bit out of the video because it's a bit tedious, but my normal big scissors are not in this room at the moment. They are somewhere else because I've been using them for something else, and I just couldn't be bothered stepping over the mess of books and stuff that's on my floor to go and find them. So I'm using these Tim Holtz scissors, but they're not as easy to cut a nice straight line, so I did have to go in a couple of times with it. And then to add some dimension behind my photo, I'm just using, I think I've mentioned on some previous videos, I've now started holding on to bits of cardboard and chipboard that come with my paper products because I find it's a really good tool to use for adding some dimension behind photos and behind bigger elements. I feel a bit safer using these than I do with foam because I feel like they're less likely to have the nasty chemicals in them that will turn my photos yellow or that will ruin adhesive over time. We'll see. Don't know if that's actually going to be the way it works, but we'll see. So in my stash, I've just pulled out two different alphas. One is a black foam or a black puffy alpha, which I believe is from Felicity Jane. And then I've got this very, very old yellow sticker alpha from Studio Calico. It's very old. And now I'm ready to start embellishing. It is going to be fairly simple, this embellishing, and it is not going to take me hours and hours and hours to do, which is happy because you don't have to watch me fussing around for too long. But I started off by trimming down, the kit had these really super long tags, which I really like the idea of, but I'm not quite sure how to make them work on my page. So I've just trimmed the top off each or two of those tags, and I'm going to tuck them in the corner with some twine running through. And I don't know about you, but I always have such a tough time remembering which direction to put the twine loop through first, whether I go from front to back or from back to front, and I always get it wrong first time and have to pull it apart and do it again. So you can see I've just tucked that green one on the diagonal, and I'm using these to fill in that little gap there that's next to the word perfect, and that was intentional. I had worked out where I wanted my title to go, and I knew that it would leave that little blank space there, which I had intentionally planned on filling with some embellishments. And now I've also trimmed down the top of this long tag that I think said good times, something like that, and I'm just adding some foam to the outside of it because of the dimension on my photo. I want to make sure that it is sitting pretty flat, that it's not going to fall back against the page and get lost. Good stuff, not good times, good stuff is what it says. Now my date I had already stamped off camera onto this little label, and I've trimmed that in half, and I'm going to tuck that underneath the photo. And in fact, I don't actually include any journaling at all on this page. There was no real big story that goes along with this. I have got a couple of other photos that I took at the same time, one of each of the kids on their own, and I may do a little companion page to this one with those photos, and if that's the case then I will add a little bit of journaling to that one. It was just we got home one night and we had some paving bricks stacked up on the lawn and the kids jumped on them, and when I went and had a look, the sun was setting and the light was just absolutely gorgeous, and so I snapped a couple of photos of them, and they were just so beautiful, such beautiful photos of my beautiful kids. and I know I'm very biased. So what you've seen me do now is just pull out my little bag where I had quite some time ago sat in front of the TV and fussy cut out a whole page of florals and half a page of foliage from this kit, which I think for me was one of the things that I was really excited about with this kit, was all of the different florals and the foliage that came with it. So I am going to make use of just a few of them, not a lot. It's not going to be an overload, it's not going to be a floral explosion. There's just going to be one little cluster there to the top left of the photo, and then another little cluster to the right towards the bottom of the photo. And I am, as with some of my previous most recent videos, I am making sure that I'm tucking these in at different points within the layering around the photo. So some you will see are on the top, some are underneath the first layer, some pieces will be underneath the second layer, and some will be flat against the page. And I'm also using just a little bit of dimensional adhesive here and there just to lift them off the page, give a little bit extra interest and a little bit of extra depth and dimension to those layers, which I think just helps them to look a little bit more realistic. And these are some pretty realistic looking flowers in this kit, which again I think was lovely. And of course the other thing I'm doing as I'm layering up these florals is I'm trying to make sure that I've got a balance of colors. So I've got the darker pink florals, and I think I've got one orange in the top left cluster, and no, I've got one in the bottom right as well, and then one of the smaller yellow flowers. So just making sure there's a balance of colors between the two clusters. And then I'll come back in with the foliage and just tuck a few of those leaves in to complete each of the little flower clusters. And I really do love the florals, the cut apart that came in this. It took a long time. Fussy cutting is not my favorite thing to do, but I am glad that I spent the time to do it, because now I've got this whole little bag of florals and foliage that are ready to go whenever I want to create something using this kit. And I think that's the last little leaf that I'm going to tuck in there. And then next you're going to come in and see me add my Nugo drops. As always, I've picked 3 different colors here. One is a really soft pink, which I think complements the colors in the layout. I've got that really sunflower buttery yellow, and then I also have one of the translucent yellow jewel drops. And that will be it for this layout. Of course, I have some close-up photos coming at the end. You'll find the details of this cut file in my description box below. If you have enjoyed this video, I would love it for you to go ahead and give me a like or leave a comment. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.